I texted Renata at 8:12 on a Saturday morning. Can you come to my place today? Please don't tell Brielle. It's important. I stared at the message for almost a full minute before sending it, which was stupid because I had already made the decision. I was 24, not 16. I had a steady job managing installations for a small home renovation company outside Columbus, a decent truck, a lease in my own name, and enough savings to do one big thing without asking anybody's permission. Still, my thumb hovered over that button like I was trying to defuse something. Renata answered 4 minutes later. Is Brielle okay? Of course, that was her first question. It should have made me feel better. Instead, it made me feel a little guilty. She's fine, I promise. This is about her, but not in a bad way. Another pause. Colton, you're scaring me. I almost wrote, forget it. That was my usual move with Brielle. I would open a door, she would act busy or annoyed, and I would quietly close it before I looked needy. 3 years of that will train a man better than any obedience class. But this time I typed back, I want your help choosing a ring. She called me before I could put the phone down. You're serious? She asked. Good morning to you too, Renata. Yes, I'm serious. There was a sound on her end like she had covered her mouth. That's the general idea behind buying a ring. Yeah. Oh my God, that's one review. I was hoping for slightly more useful guidance. She laughed softly, and I could hear the emotion in it. Renata had that kind of voice that made you feel like she was actually standing in the room, not just filling a speaker. Warm, steady, a little tired around the edges. I had only met her in person maybe 6 times before that day, mostly holidays and awkward dinners, where Brielle checked her phone every 8 minutes, and I pretended not to notice. You want me there? Renata asked. I don't know what I'm doing. Brielle likes simple things until she doesn't. She says she hates attention, then gets mad if no one notices. I figured her mother might understand that code better than I do. That is dangerously accurate. So, you'll come, I'll be there in an hour. And Colton, yeah, this better not be some joke. I'm not that brave. She arrived in 52 minutes. I remember because I cleaned my kitchen twice, changed shirts once, and still had 7 minutes left to stand around looking like a man waiting for a verdict. When I opened the door, she was holding her purse tight and giving me the kind of look a mother gives a man who might either be wonderful or incredibly stupid. She looked like a woman who had lived real life and kept her spine through it. Attractive in a way I noticed too quickly and then immediately told myself not to notice. She wasn't trying to impress anybody, which somehow made it worse. Calm eyes, direct posture, a little cautious smile. Before we go anywhere, she said, stepping inside, tell me you're not doing this because you feel like you have to. I'm doing it because I love her. She studied me. That wasn't the question. I closed the door behind her. I know, she didn't push right away. She put her purse on the counter and looked around my apartment, not judging, just seeing it. The stack of work invoices by my laptop, the clean coffee mug waiting beside the machine. The framed picture of Brielle and me from a lake trip, 2 summers earlier, back when she still leaned into me without acting like she was doing me a favor. Renata touched the frame with 2 fingers. She looks happy there, she said she was. I think you think that picture was taken before I learned she could be annoyed with me in 3 different tones while smiling for a camera. Renata turned, and instead of scolding me, she gave me a small, honest smile. That sounds like Brielle. I expected her to defend her. Most parents do. They'll watch their adult daughter set a couch on fire and still say she was cold, but Renata didn't do that. She looked at me with concern, not denial. Are you sure, Colton? I leaned against the counter. No, but I'm sure I've tried everything except showing her I'm all in. That is not always the same thing as being loved back. I should have listened harder to that. If I'd known where that ring was going to lead, I might have left it in the store window and taken a long drive in the opposite direction. Instead, I grabbed my keys. Well, I said, you're already here. Might as well stop me from buying something ugly. She sighed, but she followed me out. At the jewelry store, Renata became focused in a way I didn't expect. Not excited like a woman watching a movie proposal, more practical. She asked the clerk about settings, stones, bands, warranty, sizing. She rejected 3 rings before I even understood the difference. That one is too busy, she said. The clerk blinked. It's one of our most popular designs, for people who don't have to wear it every day. I looked at her. You're ruthless, I'm helpful. You sure those aren't the same thing? Depends who you ask. The clerk brought out a smaller ring with a clean oval center and a thin band. Renata's expression changed, not dramatically, just enough that I noticed. That one, she said. I looked at it under the light. You think Brielle will like it. I think Brielle will say she likes it. Renata took a breath. But yes, it's the kind of ring she would want people to notice, without admitting she wants people to notice. I gave a low laugh. There's that code again. Renata tried it on her own hand because the clerk needed a visual. That was the first moment the day shifted in a direction I wasn't ready to name. The ring looked right on her, not because it was expensive, not because of the shine. It looked right because Renata held her hand still, serious and quiet, like she understood what that little circle was supposed to mean. The clerk smiled. It suits you. Renata pulled it off fast. It's not for me, no, I said, but my voice came out lower than I intended. It's not, she glanced at me. After I paid, the clerk handed me the small box in a bag that suddenly felt heavier than it should have. Renata walked beside me to the parking lot without speaking for a few steps. You did a good thing, she said finally. I hope so. You're nervous. I just spent more money than I did on my first truck. Nervous is the polite word, she laughed. Brielle should be grateful. I opened my truck door, then paused. Should be. Renata looked at me over the roof. I'm choosing my words. That's comforting. It wasn't meant to be. I should have driven her home. That would have been clean. The errand was done. The secret was alive. The ring was in my jacket pocket, but I didn't want to go back to my apartment alone and stare at the box like it might start giving me advice. There's a cafe near here Brielle likes, I said. She's working today, supposedly. We could grab lunch and toast my financial collapse. Renata hesitated. You don't have to, I added. No, it's fine. I could eat. Great. I promise not to ask more terrifying questions. That would be new for you, for me. I barely talk. You talk when you're trying not to say something. I shut my door and pointed at her through the windshield. That sounds unfairly accurate, she smiled as she got in. The cafe was one of those places Brielle called cute, which meant I was supposed to remember it and take her there when she was in the mood to be impressed by things she had already approved. I parked 2 spaces from the entrance. Renata reached for her purse. I reached for the ring box in my pocket, just checking it was there. Then I saw Brielle. She was outside near the side window, standing close to a man I didn't know. Too close for a coworker, too close for a friend. She had her hand on his chest, and her head tilted back, laughing like she used to laugh with me before every conversation became a negotiation. He bent toward her and said something near her ear. She didn't move away. She touched his jaw like she had the right. I didn't get out. I just sat there with my hand on the door handle. Renata followed my stare. No, she whispered. Brielle leaned into him. Not a misunderstanding, not a friendly hug, not one of those moments people explain away with bad lighting and creative wording. It was plain enough that my mind stopped trying to help. Renata moved first. She put her hand over mine. Colton, I didn't answer. Don't go in there. I just need to ask her one question. No, you don't. She's standing right there and you have a ring in your pocket. That is not a conversation. That is a public disaster. I looked at her then. Her face had gone pale, but her grip stayed firm. She knows him? I asked. Renata swallowed. I don't know, that's not. No, I don't know, she repeated. And I'm sorry. That broke something more than seeing Brielle. Renata looked ashamed, as if she had brought me there herself and arranged the whole ugly little picture. I hated that she hadn't done anything wrong. Brielle laughed again. The man kissed the corner of her mouth. She let him. I opened the door half an inch. Renata tightened her hand. Colton, look at me. I did. Not here. For once in my life, I listened. I shut the door, started the engine, and backed out without checking if Brielle saw us. My face felt hot, but I didn't say a word. Renata didn't either. The ring box pressed against my ribs inside my jacket, neat and ridiculous. We drove for 10 minutes before I realized I had no destination. You can drop me off, Renata said quietly. No, she looked over. No, I don't want to end today with you standing on my curb apologizing for something you didn't do. What do you want? I almost laughed. That's suddenly a very complicated question. There's a diner on Henderson, she said after a moment. Quiet booths, decent food, bad coffee. Bad coffee sounds right. At least it will match the mood. That pulled the smallest laugh out of me. I hated that she managed it. The diner was half empty. We sat in a booth near the back. I kept the ring box on the table between us like evidence nobody wanted to touch. The waitress came over, took one look at our faces, and stopped smiling so hard. Rough day, she asked. You could say that, I said. Renata picked up the menu. He'll have coffee. I thought you said it was bad. It is, she said. You look like you deserve punishment. The waitress snorted. Coming right up after she left, I leaned back. Your compassion is inspiring. I'm furious, Colton. I'm just trying not to be useless about it. That landed, not soft, honest. You're furious at me, at Brielle. Renata's eyes sharpened. At the fact that you asked me to help choose a ring. And she was outside that cafe acting like she didn't have a man who would have shown up for her in a hurricane if she sent a one-word text. I looked down at the ring box. She didn't send many one-word texts, mostly emojis when she remembered I existed. Renata's mouth tightened. How long has it been like that? Long enough that I called it normal. That's a lousy answer. It's the only one I have. The waitress brought coffee. I drank it black and immediately regretted being alive. Renata watched my face. Told you that coffee has a criminal record. She smiled despite herself. Eat something, I'm not hungry. Colton, you always use people's names when you're about to boss them around. Yes, effective, I raised Brielle. I needed tools. That could have gone bitter, but it didn't. The joke sat between us, rough but human. We ordered food. Neither of us ate much at first. Then Renata took a fry from my plate without asking. Excuse me, I said. That was my emotional support fry. You weren't using it. I was saving it. For what? A better future? Apparently not. She laughed, then covered it with a napkin like she was embarrassed. The warmth came slowly, not because the pain left. It didn't, but sitting across from Renata felt different from sitting across from Brielle. Renata listened to the end of my sentences. She asked a question and waited for the answer. When I made a dry joke, she didn't roll her eyes like affection was a chore. At some point, she said, I need to tell you something, and you may not like it. Today's theme. Brielle can be selfish when she thinks someone will stay no matter what. I looked at her. You knew that? I knew pieces of it. I didn't know this. She learned it somewhere, Renata said, looking down at her glass. Maybe from watching me tolerate too much. That part is not your problem. No offense, but it became my problem. Fair. I picked up the ring box and turned it once in my hand. It looked good on you, I said. Renata froze. The smart move would have been to pretend I meant the ring objectively, something casual, something harmless. But I was tired, bruised, and apparently determined to drive straight through every warning sign. I'm sorry, I said. That came out wrong. How did you mean it? I rubbed my jaw. I meant Brielle should have been more like you. Renata didn't answer. I mean, not exactly like you. That would be obviously complicated. Obviously. But you showed up, you cared, you helped. You didn't make me feel stupid for wanting something real. Her voice softened. Wanting that isn't stupid. I know. I just picked a person who made me feel that way. The waitress passed by and refilled Renata's water. Renata thanked her, then looked back at me. Colton, you're hurt. I'm aware. So don't say things tonight that you'll regret tomorrow. I nodded. Then I said it anyway. If I were older and if the world wasn't insane, I'd give this ring to you. The booth went quiet. I expected her to snap at me. I deserved at least a sharp, don't be ridiculous, maybe a lecture about boundaries. Maybe a reminder that she was Brielle's mother, and I was a man holding the remains of a proposal meant for someone else. Instead, Renata looked at me for a long second. Her cheeks colored just enough to make her glance down. When she looked back up, she smiled. Not wide, not playful, warm, sad, a little dangerous because it didn't close the door. You are too young to know how reckless that sentence was, she said. I'm old enough to know I meant it. That's worse. I've been told I have timing issues. She shook her head, but she was still smiling. You have several issues. Add them to the list. We didn't touch, we didn't confess anything. We paid the check and I drove her home, but something had changed and we both knew it. At her driveway, Renata sat with her hand on the door handle. Don't call Brielle tonight, she said. I wasn't planning to. Good. Are you going to? She looked toward her house. No, not tonight, Renata. She turned back. Thank you for not making me feel like an idiot. You're not an idiot, a beat past. You're impulsive. That's just an idiot with energy. Her laugh was quiet. Go home, Colton. Good night. Good night. She got out, closed the door, then leaned down toward the open window. And don't do anything dramatic with that ring. I patted my jacket. So throwing it in a river is off the table. Very off. Fine. I'll disappoint the fish. She smiled again, and I drove away before I said something else that belonged in a locked cabinet. Brielle didn't call that night, or Sunday, or Monday. I waited at first because waiting was what I did with her. I waited for replies, waited for plans, waited for her mood to shift, waited for proof that I mattered without having to ask for it like a receipt. By Wednesday, I stopped pretending the silence was new. It was just the same old relationship, only louder. I had 3 missed calls I hadn't made in my head. That sounds strange, but men know what I mean. The calls you almost make, the texts you write and delete, the little auditions for dignity. On Thursday evening, I stood in my kitchen with my phone in my hand and said out loud, "No more." Then I called Renata. She answered on the second ring. "Colton, hey, bad time. No, I was wondering if you wanted to get dinner." Silence. "Not a ring committee meeting," I added. "Just dinner." "Yes," I blinked. "You didn't let me finish. I heard enough." That was either flattering or terrifying, maybe both. We met at a small Italian place where nobody knew us. I arrived early and nearly left twice. Renata came in 5 minutes after 7, and the room changed for me in a way I didn't want to admit. She looked nervous. That helped. A confident woman being nervous around you is a powerful thing, especially when you've spent years feeling like a calendar reminder that someone keeps snoozing. She sat across from me. "This is a bad idea," she said. "Hello to you too. I'm serious." "So am I. That's why I picked a place with bread. Hard conversations need bread." She looked at the basket. "That's your rule. I'm developing it." She took a piece. "Fine, say why you called." "Because Brielle hasn't said a word," and I realized I wasn't sad about missing her. I was sad that I spent years trying to earn normal affection. Renata's fingers stilled. "And because," I continued, "I thought about our dinner at that diner more than I thought about the cafe." "You shouldn't say that." "You asked why I called." "I did." "Probably one of your smaller ones." She gave me a look. "Careful. There it is." "What?" "That tone, like you're about to put me in my place. You might need it." "I probably do." The waiter came. We ordered. Renata kept her menu longer than necessary, like she needed something to hold between us. When he left, she said, "I'm not going to be your answer to humiliation." "I know. Do you?" "I'm trying to." "That isn't the same." "No, it isn't." She looked surprised I didn't argue. I leaned forward, keeping my voice low. "I like being around you." That started before we saw Brielle. I just didn't let myself notice it, because noticing it would have made me a lunatic. A self-aware lunatic. Growth. Her mouth curved, then she fought it. "Colton, I'm not asking for a promise. I'm asking for dinner, and after dinner I'll ask if I can see you again. You'll tell me I'm reckless. I'll agree. Then you'll either say yes or tell me to go home and rethink my life." She looked down at her plate when it arrived. "It's not." "No, it isn't." That dinner was different from the first one. Less shock, more risk. We talked about work, about how Renata ran scheduling for a dental office and somehow knew the emotional condition of every patient from the way they said hello. About how I spent my days solving problems caused by people who believed tape could fix anything. "You sound proud of that," she said. "Of tape, absolutely. It's society's last defense. You're ridiculous. You're smiling." I didn't say it was a complaint. There were pauses that neither of us filled right away. Not awkward exactly, more like we were both waiting to see who would step too close first. When I walked her to her car, she stopped beside the driver's door. "This can't become something careless," she said. "I don't want careless. You say that now. I'll say it again tomorrow." She studied my face. "Don't make me regret trusting you." "I won't." That was too fast. "Okay, I'll try not to." "That's better," I laughed. "You're tough, I'm careful. Same family, distant cousins." She reached up and fixed the collar of my jacket without thinking. The gesture lasted 2 seconds. Her hand dropped. We both noticed. "I should go," she said. "Yeah." She didn't move. "Renata, what?" "I want to kiss you." Her eyes held mine. "I know. But I'm not going to do it in a parking lot after one dinner while you're deciding whether I'm having a breakdown. That is annoyingly mature. I have my moments." She stepped closer and touched my arm. "Ask me again when it isn't about tonight." Then she got in her car and left me standing there feeling rejected, hopeful, and very awake. After that, we tried to be sensible for about 6 days. Sensible lasted until Renata showed up at my apartment with takeout and an expression that dared me to comment. "I was in the neighborhood," she said. "You live 25 minutes away. It's a large neighborhood." "I see. Are you going to let me in or make me defend my geography?" I opened the door wider. "Come in, Renata." She walked past me, and the place instantly felt less like a place I slept and more like a place someone might actually live. She put food on the counter, opened cabinets without asking, found plates, and then stopped. "Is this okay?" she asked. "The cabinets, me being here?" I closed the door. Yes. You answered too fast again, Renata. If I answer slowly, you'll accuse me of hesitation. If I answer fast, I'm suspicious. This is a rigged trial, she smiled. Maybe. We ate at my small table. She asked about my day and actually listened when I answered. That sounds like nothing unless you've lived without it. Brielle used to ask, how was work, while already looking at her phone, and I would say fine, because giving a full answer felt like leaving a voicemail for someone in the same room. Renata asked what happened with the Maple Street install. I stared at her. What? You mentioned it. You told me about it. Yes, and then some of us remember. I leaned back. Show off? How dare I pay attention? Honestly, it's unsettling. Get used to it. There it was, a little sentence. Ordinary, but it hit me harder than anything Brielle had said in months. Renata came by again the next night. Then I drove to her place 2 evenings later to fix a loose shelf in her laundry room. It took me 12 minutes. I stayed 3 hours. She made coffee. It's better than the diner's punishment water, I told her. That was the lowest compliment she had ever received. We didn't rush, not in the obvious way. There were touches, though. Her hand on my shoulder when she moved behind me, my fingers brushing hers when I handed her a screwdriver. Her standing too close at the kitchen counter, then stepping back like she had remembered the world still existed. One night she came over after work and found me on the phone with Brielle's name glowing unanswered on the screen. I hadn't called. She had, for the first time in almost 2 weeks. Renata saw it before I could turn the phone over. You should answer, she said. I don't want to. That isn't the same as shouldn't. It can be. Colton let it ring out. She had time. Renata put her purse down slowly. This is where I worry about what that part of you is enjoying not answering. I wanted to deny it, but she was right. Maybe I am, I admitted. She nodded, not pleased, not angry. Then be careful with me. I'm not using you. I believe you want to believe that. That's not fair. No, it's honest. I looked at the phone. Brielle didn't leave a message. Renata continued, I liked you more than I planned, more than is convenient. But I will not be the place you put all the anger she earned. That was the first time she said she liked me without wrapping it in a joke. I should have focused on that. Instead, my pride stepped forward with muddy boots. I'm not some heartbroken guy looking for a warm body. Her eyes cooled. Don't talk to me like I accused you of being cheap. I exhaled. I'm sorry, good, I hate that you're right. I don't love it either. She picked up her purse. You're leaving? Yes. Renata, come on. She turned at the door. This is what careful looks like. I'll call you tomorrow. Then she left. No dramatic exit. No slammed door, just a boundary, clean and adult. She called the next day. I apologized before she could say hello. I was defensive. You said I was. I didn't like being seen that clearly. That part I figured. I don't want to hurt you because I'm angry at her. Then don't. I'm working on it. Good. Now ask me how my morning went. I smiled into the phone. How was your morning? Annoying. A patient argued with me about an appointment he made himself. Men are difficult. Some of you are manageable. I'll take that as praise. Take it quietly. We got better after that. Not perfect better. Our relationship, if I can call it that by then, moved fast in calendar days and slow in the ways that mattered. We saw each other nearly every day, but every step came with a check. She wouldn't stay late unless she wanted to. I didn't show up at her house without asking. We didn't post anything, didn't tell anyone, didn't pretend we were proud of the secrecy. It was just too new and too complicated to hand to people who would rather judge than understand. But when we were alone, it felt strangely easy. She cooked in my kitchen because she said my meals were organized sadness. I told her my chicken and rice had character. She said character needed seasoning. I fixed a sticking drawer in her bathroom. She sat on the edge of the tub and made fun of my concentration face. I don't have a concentration face. You do. You look personally betrayed by screws. Screws know what they did. She laughed, and I wanted to hear that sound in every room I owned. The first time she kissed me, it wasn't dramatic. We were in my kitchen. She was leaving. I said something dumb about how she should text me when she got home, even though she was perfectly capable of driving across town without a 24-year-old traffic supervisor. You worry too much. I prefer attentive. Of course you do. Then she stepped in, put one hand on my chest and kissed me, soft, brief, sure. When she pulled back, she looked almost annoyed with herself. There, she said. There, now we can stop pretending that wasn't coming. I touched her hand before she could move away. Do you regret it? Not yet. That's romantic. It's realistic. I'll take realistic. She stayed another hour, nothing more than kissing and talking and stopping ourselves from moving too fast. But after she left, my apartment felt different again, not empty, waiting. Then Brielle remembered she had once kept me on a shelf. It was a Sunday afternoon. Renata had come over with groceries because she claimed my refrigerator looked like it belonged to a man preparing for either a gym phase or a minor apocalypse. I was putting pasta water on when someone knocked hard on my door. 3 quick hits. Renata looked at me. Expecting someone? No. I opened the door and Brielle pushed past me before I had time to block her. "We need to talk," she snapped. She stopped halfway into the living room. Renata was standing by the kitchen counter holding a bag of tomatoes. For about 3 seconds, nobody spoke. Then Brielle laughed once, sharp and ugly. "No, absolutely not. Brielle," Renata said, calm down, you're in his apartment." I shut the door. "You don't get to walk in here like you still have a key." I knocked and then invaded. "Nice upgrade." Brielle spun toward me. She looked the same as always, pretty and polished, and irritated that reality had failed to ask her permission. "What is she doing here?" Renata set the tomatoes down. "I came to see him." "Why?" "Because I wanted to." Brielle stared at her mother like she had spoken another language. "You should leave," I said. "Oh, I bet you'd like that." Brielle pointed between us. "How long has this disgusting little thing been happening?" "Watch your mouth," I said. "Don't tell me what to do. You're in my home." "I'll make it simple. Speak with basic respect or get out." She laughed again. "Basic respect from you. You were my boyfriend." "Good word." Renata stepped forward. "Brielle, this is not the way to handle this." "No, the way to handle it was stealing him." Renata flinched, but she didn't retreat. I felt heat rise in my chest. She didn't steal anything. "You left it unattended." Brielle's eyes cut to me. "Excuse me, you heard me. You don't get to act like the wounded one here." That did it. I walked to the kitchen counter, picked up my phone, then set it back down because I didn't need proof. I had eyes. Renata had eyes. "We saw you," I said. Brielle's face changed. "At the cafe," I continued. "That Saturday, the day I bought the ring." Renata closed her eyes for a second. Brielle swallowed, then scoffed. "What ring?" "The one your mother helped me choose." Her gaze dropped to my jacket hanging by the chair. She understood enough. "That wasn't what it looked like," she said. I almost smiled. That sentence should come with a warning label. Renata's voice was low. "Brielle, stop." "No, Mom, you stop. You saw what me talking to someone. He had his arms around you," Renata said. "You touched his face." Brielle waved a hand. "Oh my God, that's nothing." I nodded slowly. "Great, then this should be nothing too." Her eyes narrowed. "You are not comparing this." "I'm not comparing, I'm ending it. You don't get to end us and move on to my mother like some sick little punishment." Renata stiffened. "Enough," but Brielle kept going. "You think he wants you. He's mad at me. That's all this is. Congratulations, Mom. You finally found a man young enough to make you feel interesting." The room went silent. I had never wanted to throw someone out of my house more in my life. But Renata was standing there, hurt in a way she tried to hide, and something in me snapped clean instead of loud. I walked to the closet, reached into the inside pocket of my jacket, and took out the ring box. Renata's eyes widened. "Colton," Brielle stared. "What are you doing?" "Something stupid," I said. "Don't," Renata whispered, but I was already moving. Pride, anger, pain, and a real feeling I didn't know how to carry all mixed together into one bad decision with polished edges. I opened the box and turned to Renata. "You want to know who deserves this?" I asked, my voice steady but too hard. "Not her, you." Brielle made a sound like I had slapped the air out of the room. I looked at Renata. She didn't move. "Are you insane?" Brielle shouted. "Probably," I said, not looking away from Renata. Renata's face had gone pale. Her eyes weren't soft anymore. They were full of hurt and, worse, disappointment. "Colton," she said carefully, "close the box." I closed it. Brielle grabbed her purse from where she had dropped it near the couch. "You're both unbelievable. Do you know what people will say? Do you know what I'll tell them?" I turned to her. "Tell them the part where I bought a ring while you were in another man's arms." Try not to skip the warm-up. Her mouth opened, then shut. Renata said, "Go home, Brielle." Brielle looked at her mother. "You'll regret this." Renata's voice broke slightly, but she kept it firm. "Go home." Brielle stormed out and slammed the door hard enough to rattle the frame. For a few seconds, I thought the worst part was over. Then Renata turned to me. "What was that?" I put the ring box on the counter. "I meant it." "No, you performed it. That's not fair." "It is exactly fair." I took a step toward her. She stepped back. "That," she said, pointing at the ring, "was meant to hurt her. I was defending you. You were using me to win a fight." The words landed harder because she didn't yell. I love you, I said. Her face changed, but not enough. Maybe you do, maybe part of you does, but that proposal was not love. That was a weapon with a velvet box. I looked away. She picked up her purse. Her hands were steady, which somehow made it worse. Renata, wait. No, I'm sorry. The way I did it was wrong. Yes, I shouldn't have put you in that position. No, you shouldn't have. But my feelings are real. She looked at me then, and I saw the fight in her. She wanted to believe me. That almost hurt more than if she didn't. Tell me something, she said. If Brielle had walked in and apologized, cried, begged, said she wanted you back, would you still have opened that box for me? Yes. Would you have done it that way? I didn't answer fast enough. She nodded. There it is. I would still choose you then. Prove it when there's no audience. I will, not tonight. I reached for her hand. She let me take it for 1 second, then pulled away. I'm not going to be a shortcut out of your pain, she said. You're not. You don't get to decide that for both of us. She walked to the door. Renata, please. She stopped but didn't turn around. I was wrong, I said. I was angry. I wanted Brielle to feel even half of what she made me feel. That was ugly. I know it. But you need to hear me say this without her in the room. I love the way you show up. I love that you ask real questions. I love that you don't make care feel like debt. I love sitting across from you at a table and not feeling alone. I love your laugh when you're trying not to laugh. I love that you tell me no and expect me to respect it. I love you because of you, not because she hurt me. Renata's shoulders moved with one quiet breath. I believe you believe that, she said. What does that mean? It means I need time to know whether it's true. Then she opened the door and left. I called that night. No answer. I texted once. I'm sorry, I'll give you space. I meant what I said, but I know I hurt you. She didn't respond. The next day, nothing. The day after that, nothing. A week went by, then two. Brielle texted me twice. The first message was a paragraph about betrayal, family, embarrassment, and how I had ruined everything. The second was shorter. You'll come crawling back when she gets bored playing young. I deleted both. Renata stayed gone. That part was worse than I expected, not because I had never been alone. I knew alone. Alone, and I had a working relationship. This was different. This was knowing exactly where I had broken something and not being able to fix it with effort. Effort had always been my trick. Work harder, call again, show up early, plan better, be useful, be patient, be the man nobody could accuse of not trying. But love, real love, doesn't let you grind your way through another person's boundary, so I didn't go to her house at first. I went to work. I came home. I cooked food that Renata would have insulted. I looked at the ring box in my drawer and hated myself for making that moment dirty. On the 16th day, my friend Desmond came by after work to return a level he had borrowed 6 months earlier, which was basically a record for him. You look terrible, he said when I opened the door. Good to see you too. I brought your tool back. Did you enjoy college? He walked in and saw the ring box on the kitchen counter. I had taken it out again like an idiot. Oh, he said. That's still happening. Define happening with you. Usually something dumb followed by a speech. Appreciate the faith. Desmond knew most of it, not the soft parts. Men don't always tell the soft parts until they absolutely have to. He leaned against the counter. So, what are you doing? Giving her space. Space or silence? I looked at him. That sounds like something from a mug. It's still a question. I messed up. Yeah, you did. Thanks. You proposed to your ex's mom during a fight with your ex. I'm not sure there's a greeting card for that. I rubbed my face. I know. Do you love her? Yes. Then go say it without the circus. She asked for time. You gave her 2 weeks. She might not want to see me. Then she can tell you at the door. You're not going there to drag her back. You're going there to be honest. I hated that Desmond made sense. He was usually a man who thought cereal counted as dinner if eaten standing up, but even a broken clock gets custody of the truth sometimes. The next evening, I drove to Renata's house. I sat outside for 5 minutes, hands on the steering wheel, engine off. Then I got out before I could talk myself into heroic cowardice. I knocked. The door opened, and Brielle stood there. For 1 second, I thought I had the wrong house. Then she smiled. Well, she said, look who it is, Brielle. She doesn't want to see you. I came to hear that from her. She's busy. I'll wait. No, you won't. She stepped outside and pulled the door mostly closed behind her. You're embarrassing yourself, she said. That hasn't stopped me before. You really think this is love? I know it is. No, you don't. You got humiliated, and now you're clinging to the nearest woman who made you soup. She made pasta. Grow up. I did. That's why I'm not here to talk about us. Her eyes flashed. There is no us, exactly. She crossed her arms. You loved me. I tried to. That hit her. She looked away, then back fast. You don't get to rewrite history. I'm not. I chased you for 3 years. I planned dates you canceled. I called first. I apologized for things I didn't do just so the night wouldn't end cold. I told myself you were stressed, busy, complicated. Whatever word made me look less pathetic. Her mouth tightened. And then I bought a ring, I said. Your mother helped me choose it. We walked out of that store happy for you. Do you understand that? Happy for you, and 15 minutes later, we saw you outside that cafe with him. That wasn't. Don't. She stopped. I'm not here to punish you, I said. I did enough of that in my own head, and I put Renata in the middle of it. That was wrong. I'll own that. But you and I ended because of what you did, and because of the way you treated me long before that day. Brielle's eyes were wet now, but her voice stayed sharp. And my mother is just innocent. She's a grown woman. She gets to make her own choices. She's my mother. I know, you don't think that matters. It matters. That's why I'm standing here talking to you instead of sneaking around like a coward. She laughed without humor. Noble, no, just late. Her expression shifted, less certain for half a second. I kept my voice calm. I love Renata. I don't love her to hurt you. I don't love her because she's convenient. Nothing about this is convenient. I love her because when I'm with her, I don't feel like I have to audition for basic care. I love her because she tells me the truth even when it costs her something. I love her because she makes room for me and still keeps her own feet under her. And if she tells me to leave tonight, I'll leave. But I won't let you turn this into something dirty just so you don't have to look at what you broke. Brielle stared at me for a long moment. Then she stepped back into the doorway. She said, no, I don't believe you. She lied too quickly. If she did, she can say it. You're not listening. I am, for the first time, just not to you. Her face hardened. Go away, Colton. She slammed the door. I stood there on the porch with my jaw tight and my hands loose at my sides because I refused to give her a show. I had said what I came to say. Maybe Renata had heard nothing. Maybe she wasn't even home. Maybe I had just delivered the most honest speech of my life to the wrong woman through a door. I walked back to my truck. By the time I sat down, anger had finally caught up with me. Not loud anger, the worst kind. The kind that makes you want to drive until the road runs out. I started the engine and put my hand on the gear shift. The front door opened. Renata came out fast, barefoot on the porch, carrying nothing. Brielle appeared behind her, saying something I couldn't hear. Renata didn't turn around. She came down the steps and crossed the yard like she had made a decision and didn't plan to negotiate it with anybody. I rolled down the window. Renata, unlock the door. I did. She got in, shut the door, and grabbed my face with both hands. For a second, she just looked at me. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was steady. I heard you. I didn't know you were there. I know. I'm sorry. I know that too. I shouldn't have come if you needed more time. I had time, Brielle shouted from the porch. Mom, Renata closed her eyes for half a second, then opened them and looked at me. I'm tired, Colton. I know. No, listen. I'm tired of apologizing for wanting my own life. I'm tired of cleaning up Brielle's storms. I'm tired of being told what I'm allowed to feel because someone else might be uncomfortable. I nodded. And I'm scared, she said. I'm scared you'll wake up one day and see me the way everyone else will tell you to see me. Too old, too complicated, too tied to the wrong person. I won't. Don't answer fast. I breathed once. I have thought about it every day. I know what people will say. I know what Brielle will say. I know I made it worse with that proposal. But I'm still here. Renata stared at me, then gave a shaky laugh. You are a stubborn man, professionally and personally. That ring, she said. Do you still have it at home? Good, my heart kicked once. Good. She leaned closer and kissed me, not like the kitchen kiss. This one had weeks in it. Anger, relief, fear, wanting, all of it. When she pulled back, I didn't move because I was afraid any sudden motion would ruin my life. Yes, she said. I stared at her. Yes, yes, Colton, to the proposal, to the real one. Not the one you threw like a brick through a window. Despite everything, I laughed. She smiled through tears. Don't laugh, I'm serious. I know. I just love that even your yes comes with a review. It needed one. Brielle was still on the porch. Renata turned and looked at her through the windshield. Whatever Brielle saw in her mother's face made her stop shouting. Renata lowered the window. Brielle, she called, I love you. But you do not get to run my life because you dislike the consequences of yours. Brielle's mouth opened. Renata raised a hand. Not tonight. Then she rolled the window back up and looked at me. Drive where? Your place. I need a quiet room and coffee that doesn't taste like punishment. My coffee is excellent. It is survivable. Romance is alive. Drive Colton, so I did. Renata didn't move in that night. That would make a cleaner story, but real life rarely respects pacing. She stayed until midnight, sitting on my couch with her legs tucked under her, my hand in hers, both of us too worn out to pretend we had solved everything. At one point she said, "Ask me again properly." Now, no, not with both of us looking like we got hit by a family meeting. Fair. And not because Brielle is watching. I know, and not because you want to prove a point. I know, she squeezed my hand. Ask me when you want the answer more than the impact. That sentence stayed with me. 2 weeks later, I asked her in my kitchen after dinner. No audience, no shouting, no daughter at the door. The ring box sat on the table and my hands were steady this time. Renata looked at it, then at me. "You sure?" she asked. "Yes." Slow answer. I practiced. "That sounds honest." I opened the box. "I bought this thinking I had to convince someone to choose me. I was wrong about who deserved it. I don't want to use this to erase what happened. I don't want to make a point. I want to build a life with you in the boring ways, too. Groceries, bills, bad Tuesdays, good coffee, your opinions about my seasoning, all of it. Renata, will you marry me?" She didn't answer right away. She took the ring from the box, held it between two fingers, and smiled like she was dying not to cry. "You understand people will talk. Yes, Brielle will make it ugly. She already started. You may get tired. I may get tired. I won't get careless." She looked at me then. That was the right answer. Finally, "Yes," she said, "I'll marry you." I slid the ring onto her finger. It fit well enough to make us both go quiet. Then she touched my face and said, "Now kiss me before you make another speech." I obeyed. I'm not an idiot every day. The months after that were not some perfect parade. Brielle told her version to relatives, friends, and anyone willing to listen. Some people believed the loudest voice in the room because that's easier than asking what really happened. A few mutual acquaintances stopped talking to me. One guy from Brielle's circle sent me a message calling me names with the spelling confidence of a man across a keyboard. Renata took it harder than she admitted. One evening after she had moved most of her things into my apartment, I found her standing in the bedroom with a half-unpacked box. "She texted you?" I asked. Renata nodded. "Bad, predictable. Want me to read it?" "No." "Want me to delete it?" "No." "What do you want?" She looked at the box for 5 minutes. "I want to be a woman whose choices don't become a town meeting." I walked over, but I didn't touch her until she leaned into me. "You're allowed to have 5 minutes," I said. "I might need 10, wild, but I'll allow it." She laughed into my shirt. "You're getting better at this." "At what?" "Not fixing, just staying." That became our work. Not proving everybody wrong in one dramatic move, just living, taking walks in our neighborhood. Eating dinner with Desmond, who liked Renata immediately because she told him his borrowed tool habits were a moral concern. Building routines that did not require either of us to beg for attention. Renata changed, too. She stopped answering every message from Brielle like it was an emergency. She stopped explaining herself to people committed to misunderstanding her. She stopped apologizing for being happy in a voice that made it sound temporary. One Saturday morning, a few months after she moved in, I walked into the kitchen and found her reading at the table, wearing the ring, drinking coffee from my favorite mug. "That's mine," I said. She didn't look up. "Community property. We are not legally there yet. Emotionally, I have annexed it. Strong position. I learned from you." I poured another cup and sat across from her. She glanced at me over the book. "What? Nothing. That is rarely true. I was just thinking, dangerous, about the day I texted you." Her expression softened. "I was terrified. You were." I thought Brielle was hurt. "Then I thought you were making the sweetest mistake of your life. Turns out it was only the second sweetest mistake." She raised an eyebrow. "Careful, the first was proposing during a domestic disaster. Accurate. I'm glad you came anyway." She closed the book. "So am I. There are still people who don't understand us." That used to bother me more. Now I figure most people barely understand their own lives, so handing them mine for review seems inefficient. Brielle still circles sometimes, usually through other people. I hear she's moved from outrage to performance, which is about as far as she can travel without a map. Renata loves her, but she no longer lets that love become a leash. That was her choice, not mine. I'm proud of her for it, but I don't take credit. As for me, I don't chase affection anymore. I don't audition for a place in someone's day. I come home to a woman who looks up when I walk in. She asks how work went and waits for the answer. She tells me when I'm wrong. She reaches for my hand in grocery store aisles like it's the most normal thing in the world. The ring was meant to start one life and ended up revealing another. I bought it for the woman I was trying to convince. It ended up on the hand of the woman who chose me back. Would you have believed Colton after that public proposal, or would you have walked away for good?